After watching most of the 2026 Champions League final, I feel like I have a few things to get off my chest. And first of all, congratulations to PSG. I think they completely deserve it. And as an Arsenal supporter, I thought it was a fair result. PSG were the better team for most of the game. I thought the refereeing was fine as well. I don't think there were any horrendous decisions that changed the outcome of the match. If anything, I thought Arsenal were quite fortunate to finish the game with 11 men on the pitch. As for the penalty decision on Madueke, my first reaction was that it was a penalty. But after watching the replay, I wasn't as sure. I wouldn't call it a dive, but I can definitely understand why it hasn't been called. Overall, though, I thought the officials did a fine job. Some Arsenal fans are saying that we got robbed. Apparently, Wayne Rooney, out of all people, are saying that we got robbed. Honestly, I didn't feel this way. Was I disappointed? Yeah, I think it's only natural to be disappointed losing a Champions League final in penalties, especially we haven't won a European trophy in our club history. Heartbroken? Not really. In fact, I am pretty surprised by how well I've taken the result. When Gabriel's penalty flew over the crossbar, there was just nothing. I wasn't angry. I wasn't blaming anyone. There was genuinely, no emotions. The whole thing was so bizarre that I actually regret not streaming my reaction because people probably wouldn't believe how calm I was. I do have to say, though, SA's penalty was one of the worst penalties I've ever seen on live television, but anyway, somehow I made peace with the result almost immediately. And I think that's because deep down I already saw Arsenal as the underdogs going into this final. Not because PSG had a better squad on paper, not because Arsenal weren't good enough to win it, but rather more the mentality we choose to deploy on the field every time we go against a big team, which in my opinion naturally puts us on the back foot. And maybe it's complete nonsense and maybe it's superstition, but every time an English team or English player, English national team, ends up in a penalty shootout, it feels like some kind of curse activates and suddenly everyone forgets how to shoot a penalty. I just don't trust anything English to win a penalty shootout, especially in the final. And the remaining reason was that I think Arsenal as a football club have a very poor track record when under pressure, when they are under pressure in situation against the big clubs. We just got over the line and won our first Premier League after 22 years. We have been bottling the league for the last 2 years and we almost bottled it this year. We didn't win a single match against Man City, which was our main competitor for this season. And when I was processing thoughts for this video, what came to my mind is that this game, the final just happened, was probably the biggest match, from top to bottom, the biggest match of Arsenal Football Club, because we have never won a European trophy. We have never won a European trophy before. But PSG, on the other hand, they already broken their curse and won their first Champions League last year. If anything, they probably came into this final just as motivated as Arsenal, maybe even more, because on top of defending their title, they also had the chance to start building something special, something historic, and challenge Real Madrid's three-peat record. And the game pretty much played out the way I expected. Before kickoff, I thought if Arsenal scored first, we were going to sit back, defend deep, play on the counter, and just try to ground out a 1-0 win. And if PSG equalized, I thought there was a very good chance the game would end up going to penalties. But if PSG scored first, my hopes weren't high. I thought the game could get ugly. Maybe something like 2-0, 3-1 would be a very reasonable result if PSG scored first. Maybe even another humiliation just like last year's final. I just think mentally, I don't trust Arsenal to be resilient enough to not collapse as a team. For the whole season, Arsenal hasn't shown me that they are able to create chances against big teams when they are behind as well. Especially when they are behind as well, I mean. And in the end, I was pretty much spot on. The only thing I didn't expect was Arsenal scoring that early. And when half is put us ahead, I was actually feeling it.
過唔到場喎，只可以乾拉咯。
哇！阿仙奴！哇！入咗波啊！
咁戇鳩得唔得啊？屌，咁快嘅咩？
咩戇鳩啫！我哋係 underdog 嚟嘅咩戇鳩啊！1-0。To be honest, prediction isn't really that impressive because any sensible fans could have predicted or have a similar analysis to me just based on the style of plays that these two teams have and team tendencies, which leads to my next question. Did Arsenal approach the game correctly? Before I say anything, I have to make it clear that I didn't watch the full 120 minutes. There were definitely moments I missed, so take this as my opinion rather than a complete tactical breakdown. So, did Arsenal approach the game correctly? Honestly, yes, at least until we conceded the penalty. I've seen a lot of people saying Arsenal got exactly what they deserved for parking the bus after scoring in the 5th minute, but let's be honest, nobody would be saying that if we had held on and won 1-0. PSG are probably the best attacking team. Not probably, they are the best attacking team in Europe right now. The stats say so. It makes perfect sense to be more defensive and more cautious against a team like that. Especially also, it's our we should always play to our strengths, especially in the biggest moment of our career. You don't go toe-to-toe with them unless you're absolutely confident you can match them. But the moment we conceded a goal, which I saw the full match from that moment on, I think this is where some criticism is justified. I think Arteta as a manager have become very negative over the years. When the game was tied, or even before that, I was honestly quite disappointed with what I saw on the pitch. It feels me something mentally is missing in this team. Not skill, it's a more character thing. And when I compare this Arsenal side to Real Madrid's Champions League three-peat team, the difference isn't talent. Not saying that the Arsenal squad isn't talented enough. They have some really technical players. They have some really exciting players. But for me, it's the mentality. It's the major difference. That Real Madrid team looked completely unfazed under pressure. I still remember the final against Liverpool. They were completely shit until Salah had to came off because of an injury. They only opened the scoring because we all know what happened. And when Real Madrid, specifically between 2016 and 2018, when they were under pressure, they never looked panic. They knew opportunities would come. They knew mistakes would happen, whether it was the first goal, the counter-attack against Juventus in 2017, and Bale's overkick in 2018. This was just one moment, not even a clear-cut chance, just a slight moment, a bit of tiny space. They could exploit it, and it turns out to be a goal. They were fucking ruthless, and they were always ready to pounce on you when the opportunity arises. And for me, Arsenal are nowhere to this level. Even when I compare Arsenal to Mourinho's Chelsea or Simeone's Atletico Madrid, teams that also play pragmatic football, defensive football, I could still feel the hunger from those sides. The football wasn't always pretty, but you could see the belief, the character displayed on the pitch. Former Chelsea players said they are willing to die for Mourinho on the pitch, which shows their mentality. But when I look at Arsenal's performance yesterday, yes, they were structured, they were disciplined, sure. I thought Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié were fantastic, even Mosquera before the yellow card. Rice was organizing the defense constantly. Great leadership. it was great to see, but that's kind of where the positive stops for me. After the equalizer, I didn't see the hunger, the desire to win. This Champions League trophy, I don't see the determination, to push forward and try to go for the win. Maybe they can do it. As a squad, certainly we can do it skill-wise, but perhaps they were just following the manager's instruction. Maybe Zidane just have unbelievable aura that do magical things to Real Madrid players. Maybe the way Arteta tries to motivate and stimulate his own players is just not as effective like someone like Mourinho or even Sir Alex Ferguson. Because honestly, every time I saw the light bulb team talk, I felt more confused than inspired, to say the least. Maybe with the same style of play, the result would be different. We never know. We will never know. But what I do know, based on the match I just watched, that after PSG equalized, Arsenal looked far more concerned about not losing than they did about winning. And as for the hate Arsenal are getting, I can honestly understand why people are calling us anti-football, haram football. To be fair, I haven't really been watching football regularly for the last few years. I just don't think waking up at 5 a.m. or staying up until 5 is just the best interest for my health. It's just the reality of living in Australia. The last match I watched was in fact the 2024 Champions League final between Real and Dortmund. In fact, this Champions League final was actually the first Arsenal game under Arteta that I actually watched live from start to finish. Most of my exposure to Arsenal over the last few years have been through highlights, comments, YouTube clips, and people constantly telling me that Arsenal are apparently destroying football with their dark arts and antics. And honestly, after Harvard scores in the 5th minute, I literally continue playing Siege with my friend, as you can saw in the clip in my reaction, because I already knew what kind of game this was going to become. In some way, you might say I probably saved my friend, who is a basketball fan, a LeBron James fan, from witnessing football terrorism. And yes, it definitely wasn't the most entertaining football match I've ever watched. The truth is, I don't particularly like the style of football either. I support Arsenal because I fell in love with the football during the Wenger era. Beautiful passing, great combinations, technical players they have, positive attacking football, no matter the opposition. That's what Arsenal means to me. But the thing is, we haven't won anything major silverware playing the right way. And when I start thinking about it, Arsenal aren't exactly the first team to win trophies by being pragmatic. Chelsea did it against Bayern. They did it also against Barcelona in the semi-final same year. Conte was definitely a more pragmatic manager in nature. Liverpool become far more defensive after scoring an early penalty against Tottenham in the Champions League final. Manchester United were fucking parking the bus against Ajax in Europa League final. Attack wins your game. Defense win your titles, literally set by the GOAT manager himself. And last year, Europa League final was absolutely dreadful. Dreadful, fucking horrible. And Tottenham still won the game with 3 shots and 1 shot on target, for fuck's sake. I was happy for Son, but honestly, that night, the football was fucking bad. It was fucking bad. So why is it even, or rather when, Arsenal become a more pragmatic, negative side, the whole world apparently turned on us? And I think the answer to this question is pretty simple. Football, at the end of the day, is just entertainment. People want to be entertained when they are watching it. And if your football isn't entertaining, people are going to hate it regardless of whether it works or not. Especially if people are seeing it on a weekly basis. And to be honest, that's completely fair. But to say it's up to Man City and PSG to save football for the world, it's fucking ridiculous. Honestly, fair play to PSG. I think they deserve all the praise. For years, they were the biggest stroke in European football. They spent hundreds of millions and still couldn't win the Champions League. But they completely changed their approach. They recruit smarter. They build a balanced squad. And now they have won back-to-back Champions League with a backline where I barely recognize half of the names outside of Nuno Mendes and Sabiani, who got subbed in extra time. And that's only because I play Football Manager. But Man City, like, come on, give me a break. We all know that about the 115 financial charges hanging over their heads. And people are seriously telling me they are the saviors of football because they play prettier football than Arsenal. I honestly think anyone who is sensible will not be standing side with Man City after the allegations have come out. Even if you believe innocence until proven guilty, surely as a football community we should be more united on this matter, because this isn't just about Arsenal, it's about every club. If those allegations turn out to be true, maybe your club will have won another league title or two. Maybe your club qualifies for Europe. Maybe your club has an entire different history. And if you honestly think Manchester City are saving football because they play prettier football than Arsenal, then no offense, I think you need some senses knocked into your head. Except for Manchester City fan, assuming they exist. For what happened next, as much as I hate to say this, we just need to trust the process again. I believe as a club we have already navigated through the toughest period of our history. When I look at this Arsenal squad, most of these players have only just won their first major trophy 2 weeks ago, including Arteta himself. Only Hincapié won the Bundesliga. I'm probably butchering his name anyway. Bundesliga with Leverkusen. Havertz won the Champions League with Chelsea. If you want to count Gabriel Jesus as well, that's only 3 players in the entire squad. I might have missed somebody, but I can't remember at the moment. Who had already experienced winning major trophies before this Premier League title. Most of the squad is still young. There is still room to grow. There are still lessons to learn. And there are definitely areas that need improving and refining. I think signing a left winger should be a priority this summer, whether that means moving on from Martinelli or Trossard. I can see arguments for both sides, which I won't put myself in a position to debate this as I said, I have not been watching football games. I also think we could do with a different profile of striker alongside Gyökeres, especially considering Havertz's injury record. Midfield probably needs more competition as well if Odegaard, even though he's my favourite player in Arsenal, has been as underwhelming as some people have suggested. But overall, I think the foundations are there. The squad is good enough to achieve bigger things. The hope is that everyone learns from a night like this. What I would like to see next season, however, is a slightly more expansive version of Arsenal. Whether people agree or not, attractive football, to me, is part of this club's DNA. It's one of the reasons I fell in love with Arsenal in the first place. My biggest concern is that Arteta doubles down on the same approach next season. And history hasn't always been kind to teams that rely too heavily on the style of football in the long run. And beyond results, I don't think it's particularly sustainable from an entertainment perspective either. Maybe winning covers up a lot of the flaws, but if the football becomes too pragmatic for too long, eventually both fans and neutrals start losing interest. But at this moment, I still think we have to back him. I would have sacked him if he didn't deliver the Premier League this year. But he did it. He just delivered our first Premier League title in 22 years. And more importantly, I genuinely don't see a better alternative available either. I only see Cesc Fabregas as a great candidate for the future, but he is still unproven in the highest level with the expectations we have currently as a club. If he comes in, he's had to deliver a title. I think being competitive in Premier League wouldn't be enough. With Iriola is going to Liverpool, Xabi Alonso is going to Chelsea. Glasner, in my opinion, is quite a bad fit. Realistically, there is no better option. I would love to see Wenger come back personally, but I could see they would have consents for that either. Plus, a lot of big clubs are going through transition next season. I only see Man City and Man United challenging us for the title, but with Guardiola out of the door, I think, and I hope, the fear factor would be gone. Arsenal should be competing for the title again next season. In fact, I would be disappointed if we didn't win Premier League next season. To end this video, I think this interview by a PSG fan summarized our mentality as a whole club pretty well.
Used to play great football. Today, football won. The way you did play, kick and rush, football, harambol, I'm happy that we went to the penalties and that it was basically cruel to you guys, because hoofing balls and hoping that someone would be able to beat our defenders with the header and maybe create something. That's not the Arsenal we know. The Arsenal of Thierry Henry was, the team that was playing football. I think because you lost too many titles to City while playing good football, you decided, okay, now we want to win no matter what, and it didn't work. And to be honest, today, football won. You guys used to play great football. You need to go back to that.
Even though the result didn't go our way yesterday, I think it's important to remember how far we have come as a club and as a squad and as a fan base. So keep your heads high, your chins up. If you're in London, go to the parade, celebrate. I wish I'm in London. I genuinely believe 2026 is the beginning of something special. We have already trust one process and see where it got us. Now it's time to do it one more time. If you have made it this far into the video, I'm honestly out of words and incredibly grateful. I never thought I would end up making a video talking about a football match. To be honest, I don't even feel particularly qualified or equipped to talk about football compared to other people, because I don't watch every game. I am not a tactical genius, and I can't analyze every detail of the match. But after watching the final, I felt really inspired actually to get a few things off my chest. And if you enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments. And now for some shameless self-promotion, because completely unrelated to this video. If you enjoy watching funny gaming fails, random screams, and me slowly losing my sanity in competitive games, feel free to drop by my Twitch stream, which should be linked in my bio, or this video description rather. At the moment, I'm mostly playing Siege, but who knows? Maybe there will be an occasional Football Manager stream when I feel like pretending I'm smarter than Arteta. We'll figure it out. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.
Maybe I'm weak, but it took half a year to get over you. Or maybe I'm good at pretending that I moved on. I know that we got a lot of the same friends, and soon enough there come a weekend when we just not bring it up.